alungil sil se Salvador Endreg mal marud el masgaw lu talmei koram lo tipi tilgibel dibus tangeru club seim ako mesetiale pipi using la direk lo gora ki ulem lo tiki besmer al tutau al garda aten game ko tum na momeu mang api usia ko mesringing lakmal ngara center a storm relang ako mesingay kal merkol teral club se ngara temordo oderngi olbira lulau ma newspaper mordo oderngi ma agestri de sen nombre kel Friday mong tiregel mordo oderngi mong umbral toy lo seng ul mong cloa o masao del Olkeriil mark cloud to trail ito ko raw sa expression ra bilio sa ngarasil abrik terbota o iwa o ka atual
Ngirmang meda senkyo kita adrablu agire de lakle oren setti legang arisal teraurelir ndiagal adrablu amle contribute taigal mondail mora PPUC mengire del mal mogirgik le oren setti mo tamlo girel gere emil karang aldum de face ay gidel seleta MC kita sales Google bora tora ais tora na news akum na stegi del gara PPUC tia number 1 and number 1 and number 2 le kota akum na stegi del virus le sel do mesa cycle sa news sa do remember I can recall le lol malpuile que mora Drax, mora housing, mora PPUC, mora tiagid le kuk tokora a virus a kuk mal dim lang tangel tiang milgrang mo rasinam gid tiak mal maral kadalabang ring el tuta el sil segunda sen la got cloud el mondal jardil bela un blue ad kami amu ya Biblia avec le Salvador a direct lo mesa igilulaw ang Biblia lo seng mulmoranga aroy sa modella sa moroy sa tokol ti ablul ada di mo bitok tengah segi dal ubendir ka bose Salvador Ngirmang kedeman merenga sulela minister ahel elenga kamlo guru ra doctor kwate nge senator segi del tutau yang omagadong ra minister ahel lo ay sengit al virus et adadu segi del sil sengam lo ni leadership meeting matingelu segi del issue tial coronavirus el leadership meeting en start a minister ahel de lo sera January 22 ma 23 et tiram lo mul screener admeso isber belau esto basko gil ngara sinam Macau ma Hong Kong el merbelau magdamal ngel tengah tele gigi diamle origin tiya gidel COVID-19 magdagere mal mereng asulir leng dia kang rar gidel ti kedem lemre edel take precaution el girel lungila mu del la malas lon sioti
ay sem elangel el redir ramrigel mlertiang el tigre ngira last week el ngaringi aigel o hotel wasenga ngartial ser akum da se gidel el anga ge dirgelo mesengira hospital el ang et mladurok laikel sampel morat asinam ama Taiwan ma mora amrigel al suku magi kita tuob del mo ngia amral smertial treteng lamo hotel el ser ding atel gibel mo mering lengke bagatatal mliwek belau leng to mentritigel ada hospital e direk maras ko gilmei masuko mo seng agiril mas sebes tuat atirgel at en lo kantak tang kalat mal utnok medringi dingay kita gelo lemra governor angat maun na take action ko lengo ase ngaringi lata tamal utel lat angat maun amlok medringi at mal utem bangli mung se kita government kat maul ada di morio rabla bliri de dalbor obise
wa singir ma petok la da nam gor nga ka klase me mul gora presidente mul stoba gas ko gira isial me ndin ka dila dim lan nga isia ngam la rablu ram rigel me Mlamo dia kal sebed la setiang argel mundial ki sebed listo baroguil lomrolesko ki digo ai se le kriren sa governor oror Franco Gibon sama speaker Marbo marador olbil ma rugul oror am lomit olgotam lo meeting el gerel tiagid el coronavirus kungran sibil gut muklim al tang mo sebed el mga do urtire autoridad isiler adra national government Adiregam lo mga dadur tilen diregel temlamo gora awal misetial salmal mo kloman soril diregel logeret mga ragel sibil mo gutmokil gerel tial virus.
Oy diak sigida kumesa omngot mokro bela kumesa ngeng mungil maran mungil mokro ada bela umda suatara Irene kami gerel ada dia gidel social media diregel kumesa igel tuwa dan diregel mo pasarung endi ngaka ese Salvador iba yung aswak iba yung sokal si saladro top da suir mga of course el maigaldo mes ngara blul adal me ma tokol ligel uldas to algo to tang lo top da uldas maya ding ngungil mo iba mo lom sarung mo sa edlo mesa mo mi mo tiga klamrang mal ubendia lela ka dir mutra mil gol ka embergo ndi si sulta mal ko ngariya bebira belu ma ibna belaul ko ta mas tawangal dim ara lawa ta tissue ma tol yang gigil oh
Irene mlamo dia ka gele hand sanitizer ma agel Clorox mlamo dia grave laul agel ma close to
oh ela de octobora tara mal close aiser la Salvador la de PPUC direct ngara limelight lang temla mogote open agel kloang albid el gira solar system yang ada el cloal combalil el aquel dos semble short list será todo ser on otro mangrul buil emergo lo mese di l'ultim tlilu tilbid agot temle open el bidra on wal buil emergo osmrira on el buil el mutlo os ngo asbren mon mutlo ngetil buil
gale tila kakmo piusimle open yang arnya di l'ultim tel mutel open rabi terluat tirgelti
jaktil aigi sel shogol len ngot halam to open ringi ma igam le naina ngakamal valor tiang le naina kumbali tirgel me soril mei alut lo open asmri lut open ringi tedim no 6 etirak mula set mo short list ringi to mo ngigre ringi mo 3 mo final alo betril mo 4 emergol mo for emlegiril open ringi ragot al buil emergol dial open ringi mutel mistrira tiga kloal gombali luase como bit ali tia erul level rabit which is diga gisara klangar ngakan di lagu special system tir indigar rogul system adilo martring ngaga di makmala igartir chairman di tangania wigel ngasel engineer di talom skaka information after tol kim ka mondaring skaka information utamla open makmo kulgertir la luigel wase kamu ay sangal wase ngaraigel criteria aigel ul kom le besringi kom open mo select wase ngarat abom selecting El Salvador por information po dengel wasa ngania kumbali da Taiwan makumbali amrigel el tilo badang. Ya bay madela ka tablol kumbali huriping imol kumbali ra Greece ma imol kumbali ra France sel NG. El asel do mese seguido el kumbali ra NG sel lolbiak lulamil kodira erura kana memong seguido al among wa kontrate mesti seguir sel kabelment a olduberni en away gel bebira to ko losen maldingi ma domes rasis du barata hospital ngorngil to ko ile ang seguida abay di clot tutelele Salvador hase bol open emergo e como dengue se ngarte actioni en ulu ay se plena siabal plena ja igara siabal ngilun miskida do la loase trulia aselo sen crit system tial sengra dengi tia ko to clot tutelel tia mamra la dengiringi emeliwe babal da por rogir completely the change of real mobile cell plan emergo es el plena ngaringia a solar system lo pengkel ese real momrega plan en algún worth $40 million siapa lah merungi sebol mereka sungguh apa itu beri grant mendia kata pada harau ni ela seguida mlamu mede ela tiagida aku bes moringi tial suku moringi etigiril mo chance ser plan
kahal ngal kioni ngal adri bukul ngamle si ora pipiusi yang ram dimlak ngur sertamil lot nglir belaum poda de sodi e dollar ngi mergoe tul martin ngi
temle bagrengi temle
bagrengi mle dimlak atele lo oti
dia kemlan ini dia se apa belur bela ada borda sama apa
dia ram dimlak top da news
temle baket turun
adra borda
ndi ngaram dimlak top da news tial ngar 1 milyon el gotlungil el proposal en mergi del ditada
wai si armuka mengeli le ko orang ara selap la ngara ikril mdaksal o sumida ka mengeli nga selap la tial amal ka mengeli
ay gal bisel after to ko gira mo album ngora ro ruta ngara tru ale mergo top del el dula se te agita akmal le umi lenga ka mengeli sera gol ngari akan sogi el bup le to raran. Claro, vicepresidente la press conference en men bida clear dori 2 million el project el plan el girela aran. Bala keluida presidente tak munda sebe ngartil are la med gora igel sebe.
Adil.
Mak pudang ling sem le plan el ngilulo de sim. Ala keluida me dori 2 million el disegi de kita ngarat raut. Dulu hal yang mau kita lagi kita jaskan.
Wais dia meral di aku ndas igal tela igal to gire del plan gire ngaringi plan gire ngai ake kali namo dia kase gida ada yun sa di migi selo le to mem botak ngar gida di namo dia kalau waise tel future gida namo dia kalau waise namo
to tulungi la plan Ngirmang di ka koster gida ro mar mang tekle da mesa sebe ma del sebe ma soad ma gel dia sebe dia ka agdo mesetel lungil el iti evolola ratakai
dia wais dia la kungir ala siapa la ser lia plan el beskir ngoni to tirkli to ngita seuliga to tirkli ruli
moi sendiu antel ba braran meso agn la lona edv etiramet mugibes kemi temiskid ngara am 17 million temlak mer to ruli ba braran
wais ete agera sigur el dirga darur tringi meng ela Salvador de Buktaporanex ngaringia amaklol to goin modu para el almel longerulureur ma onge de lureur sel el do ratrical ko hosia el ngal grasku la mo ungra arngi pala high school ongerulureur onge de lureur ma PCC ak basangero onge de lureur sel menguder trical tewal ko hosia mo president emo o gertira grir di sel kuk ngara high school atlgi bel ngoda ling aku ko gere tigal ngara ringil toba tungo surangal ma alen el mo otmak et mo gere tirager ling aku gere tiro se ngara un mo isengos tirga nga atrasyo bay terung moral aku next time mo Johnson ma angkang Arnold mengeral direk tu adralla amsel tu mungil omes wasing malwang ra adralla direk lungil tleta ele da buknaul de suir emergo ada PCC buk mod da PCC di bahigil ngarngil forum los di mod ore ek mul de suir introduce dik mul de suir ngal ga school oger which is good ta malungil El Salvador len kalam ngel wase ngakam ngal do ga school 2 weeks ago rulia opinion poll tirak malaul suil ukla mamreng maldim nakakora campaign mangarat maldim notong okle wase kam lista igel ka omdas mklot utel tgora patangem relal seals 3 ongeru ngaraigem redem mklot utel tgol mondas kat magil tial balur belo maldim mus ya sigida ongeru ongede wase asukum ko secure relal seals tan secure nitigal kohosia mergo seguir trigal ngalga omsin de tira de trigal por senkyo betul ang tirigel senior saya kam awan third tira sa namusul senkyo at tuto dia dia dito may sa ikang reflector social media ma Udesuall adrablio bisay gida iga sigda mano omol telo sa surangan ma udu amal blido ko roid over 50% emergo tirigal bebilak malo utawa ururiulen mo o tiro se tiriga din na start el campaign surangan la 2016 il May. Maudo adire kading last year before last year susok mo campaign makmayang kal radil gang tiang ko mal dir ka roy de gang kamata tril
Ngirmang elang morngia tiagidel kura debate lorunian ngal ka school kelel saber rulia questionel mistrir ra uriu rabul mereka debate lesel lorunia tabela amiru dengira juniors mar seniors egelel se ve de melkor tirgal sponsor igal debate ra Tuesday and Wednesday selbon merek de pestira a question mel ense
oise ngari a for black rally el momestri el direk el mo el cook evaluate ra students evaluate tigal leaders team mo de ra presentation ma articulation ma explanation ngari de lomes va se tigat dul muda dul as iloyu daigal uldas lo luyud morangal
ya kap mamalkol to ko ramrigel matokor bela wal ubeta
gora dirgal me to tamla me invitation
masiki de Salvador mamsan hopefully sing adriga ka to merkaw lo sebom
ngari ya ba bien de ko pinerim
nda ka sum se bom library sing malungin that's a good exercise malungin ruli ti agid do rurngi tialomri da information matukoin morarat mo lolen paldir roid sbiar belan mo ngilom dasu mo ngil madangay merko mo ngil senkura el almel senkyo mendi seguide ngora dikateme de Salvador mangal waigel mulu ais Irene kadim gora di
ngungil makati tialomer ka information leng tidakal guk nga front page ra Island Times tial access to public information al malgora issue ra SP belar el al time mang akora ting tial gukte al orenga sulira rather belar wase tumbalo masarandir ar other belau mau ul mangaringa mitiar belau le sekatmong maigel goram ke karmusal kla mangara ratalong alet emo malom sarungut ulwase ngaringi arkuk tirgel lo horeol lo merka ais min sabit tirgel guk tiakate alir lo makal moraika lobis rakabalment mangaral mo matengay mandiakal tirgel tial platform ngaringi sadoy tiaw rere del kadaw maral wasa Dios ako ko spera Ngirmang makaw mangakal ilkuk kora tingrire ngarira tirgel guk takal sabil malkoy matia platform malangari ako soril lo tengwal me o kera lo soril mo matengay como malat kalwase ndiakal Moses ang sato ing Irene tiang gukteal al sabil other belan mo ka tengelo ngila ay sarap buhay nang maral government target ro ko imang ay sel ka perparta to ko malakato tingal waseng ngarang ngaringi kato ko rating ngara el golga ya balul malom sa randir other ngi ada kal soril ngara el golga soril mo tingal waseng ngarang ay kal tax dollars lo el pay ngarang marula sige del front page sa ko rawngil el podo pol iwer at el albot interview ng karupa kanya mangal ko mo SME el dire kamang John, I think we're ready for you. Mang akparati akmal kol tokorbela emer ko oidi ngkal adra UN consultant ng artiang adra Australia yang artiang al malgora ol ngasera takadil adra media dire kalmera Chamber of Commerce maralay kal lobbies lol si sakra adra bela ol girela anti corruption waseng makarang katumo madu tiya kato o lomolo may gagit klabalung taletay ra klabula ka mangarang ember or auto dara government talubang service ang rang klel lagi tati Cristiano lo masindar other belaw mong John, we welcome you. I said it in Palawan. I want to introduce you to people of Palau and thank you for coming here. You're a UN consultant, John Hyde, and you're from Australia. And thank you for being in Palau and helping us training and to know about anti-corruption. So
Okay, it's lovely to be back.
In your own words, you came, you saw, and what?
And I learned. And I learned from great experienced people such as yourselves. It's lovely to be...
A little bit about yourself, yeah.
Okay, it's lovely to be back here. I was a journalist last century, and probably we've got that in common, that we can remember last century. In Australia, in Western Australia, in newspaper, did a little bit of work on ABC radio as well, and then also in Europe, in Scotland, in the Scotsman newspaper, and in the US, in New Orleans and Seattle. And then later on, for my sins, I became a Member of Parliament in Australia, in Perth, and I had 13 years there as a Member of Parliament. But many murderers get a less sentence than 13 years for murder. So I did my time there. But the last 6 years I've been working with the United Nations. One of my roles in Parliament was setting up the original legislation and then the Corruption and Crime Commission in Western Australia. So I've had an involvement in corruption and now working throughout all the Pacific countries out of the United Nations Pacific Regional Anti-Corruption Project.
What other Pacific countries have you done this kind of work with?
Okay, well, I've just finished in Kiribati, and the President of Kiribati committed to holding the first high-level regional leaders conference on corruption. And so since October last year, I've been working with the government of Kiribati to organise this conference. And of course, like many events, it was scheduled in early February, and just when the virus started appearing. So we had some cancellations at the end, but we had tremendous support from a number of prime ministers, particularly from the Samoa Prime Minister. And so that went very well, and we ended up out of this workshop with a Te Anewā vision, which a Kiribati document, which is, I think, going to provide a lot of guidance to leaders in the Pacific about how we need to be tackling corruption, but importantly, how do we implement changes? What do we do in the way our governments work, in the way our private sectors work, and even in the way our media works?
And when will that be?
Well, we've finished that conference. I've just come from Kiribati 2 weeks ago with that, but the next phase is implementation, because people see all the time big meetings and conferences, but what's next?
What's next, yeah.
Yeah.
Kiribati is also facing an election this month or next month?
Yeah, well, they've got a three-phase election. So next month, the Parliament election is held. I think nominations close the end of this week. So in their system, we've got the parliamentary election. Then Parliament will sit for 1 day in June to select, I think, 3 candidates for president.
Wow.
And then we start on the presidential campaign, which will go probably till July. And Kiribati is unique because their president sits in Parliament as a parliamentarian too.
Well, tell me, we know Kiribati was one of us, those who are brothers with Taiwan rather than mainland China. And last year, I understand the boat tilt, turned over in Kiribati to China, and understand that billions of dollars are involved. So you were there. What did you see? Is this a scene that kind of has nothing to do with like corruption?
Well, I think it was an administrative decision by the government, and as we've seen in the Pacific, I think Kiribati has changed back and forth between Taiwan and China, I think on 3 occasions, and we've seen with other governments it's within the purview of a government, of a cabinet, to make that decision. I'm an outsider, so I don't know how the decisions are being made. But I will say that within Kiribati, it does seem to have been done quite transparently. That funding was provided to each village and island to bring members of the council into Tarawa. They have major sports and council meetings, and so money was being distributed transparently. For our conference, the main funding was from New Zealand and Australia as traditional donors, but the Chinese also contributed through transport. And the Kiribati people were quite open about, okay, if we're getting 18 cars, where are they going to be used? I think there was obviously the experience in Papua New Guinea, and the people of Kiribati and the government of Kiribati and the media in Kiribati wanted to make sure it was transparent. So a couple of the buses that have been provided by China are now going across, I understand, to Christmas Island. So it's people outside the capital getting a benefit from the new development coming from China.
Well, I guess the biggest show in town in the past few years has been China investment. And lo and behold, and this thing showed up, this virus. So China is, I guess, looked upon as a source of investment and money in Palau, in Samoa, Fiji, I've seen, but also source of this disease that's killing everybody. But the thing is, in your trip around the Pacific and recently from Kiribati, what do you see as, let's say, or first, do you see like examples or actual practice of corruption as we know it, and then of this country? And then if you can summarize, like, what is in corruption? Like in its, that your own, I'm sure, if you're teaching anti-corruption, there must be corruption. So what is it? I mean, in terms of practice.
Well, I think corruption has been with us since Adam and Eve. When the incentive of the apple. Yes. And human beings are fallible, and for whatever reasons, we've ended up with systems of democracy and elsewhere where we realise that power corrupts, and that we've got to have checks and balances. And I guess in our modern world, we're making sure of having an independent media, of having private sector, of having civil society that can oversight. I've been a member of government, and you need oversight. Ministers need oversight. Leaders need oversight. You can never know exactly what's happening. And even in anti-corruption commissions themselves, we've had examples of officers, they're in an office job, they're entitled to a car, they're ordering big Hiluxes and Land Cruisers so they can go off fishing and in the sand dunes on the weekends. So you've got...
That's not Palau, yeah?
No, that's not Palau. I'm a guest in your country, so I will not use any examples of your country. And again, it's about listening. Local people know what's happening, and the benefit of the Pacific is that we're very small. We do know everybody. We're related to half of the neighbourhood anyway, and so it acts as a check on accountability because of that. But you also have an arrogance that breeds corruption and nepotism, where people locally, in every Pacific island, in every country in the world, in the US, where people are getting jobs because they're related to a leader, a minister or somebody. Then
or contract, business contract.
Qualifications not needed or reviewed, sort of.
Yeah, and I guess what happens with a lot of the training that we're doing, it's about helping governments themselves. Most people in government are genuine. They genuinely want to get elected, or they genuinely go into government service because they want to help their country and help their people. But as everywhere, there's bad apples. But it's about when you have integrity agencies, and here in Palau you've got the Attorney General, you've got the Special Prosecutor, you've got the Auditor. You had officially an Ombudsman position, which has been filled at some times, but is
an
empty
Ethics
at the
Commission.
moment.
We have Ethics Commission.
Yes, and the Ethics Commission. And so you've got a whole lot of bodies, but you've got to make sure that they're working and they've got the power to do their jobs. And a big part of the training with the media and government officials is about going after the money, getting the records, finding out if declarations have been made correctly, if you have an ethics commission, if you have a requirement in terms of codes of conduct or declarations of conflicts of interest, that they're being filled out and that material is available. And as those of us that are journalists know, it's hard work researching. But if you can get the paperwork, and more importantly, if leaders and officials in government know that somebody's going to be checking the paperwork, checking bank accounts, checking cash payments, then that can act as a brake on corrupt behaviour.
John, since you're here conducting a training for the Media Council here, it's very easy to come and train people by talking to them on what needs to be done in finding out about this anti-corruption. Would you have a chance to do a practical training with the media while you're in Palau to find out information regarding certain issues or some issues that are on the newspapers?
Yeah,
well, that's
a good idea.
Yeah, a big part of the training that we do is in terms of a right shop, and that all the journalists that are coming are invited to bring a particular topic or a story that they've thought about doing or that they haven't been able to progress. So we're using that as a real example, and again in a confidential way, because you've got a healthy media scene in Palau, but you have got different newspapers, your radio and elsewhere, so people can be competitors, but you want to have a friendly atmosphere where people can work with their peers and say, okay, what sort of documentation do I need to get to make this story stronger? Or I go down to the night market and everybody's saying this person's corrupt, or this activity was corrupt, or this contract was corrupt. Everybody can gossip, everybody can talk, but if there is some information behind it, a good journalist has got to know where to go to look for evidence and to look for paperwork that will prove or even disprove. I know my time as a journalist, maybe 30 or 40% of my time ended up disproving a tip or a lead or a rumour. But it's the only way to go through. You can't be printing or saying something that's got one source, that's an opinion.
Yes.
You've got to be getting there. So a lot of what our training is saying, look, there are online databases with company records these days. So any company that's coming into Palau that's registered, even if it's registered in the Cayman Islands or Switzerland or whatever, there is a paper trail. And as journalists in Palau, you're able to check the bona fides of overseas companies that are coming in. Now, in terms of due diligence, if the government or even if private companies here are dealing with overseas companies, they should also have been checking to make sure that if somebody's getting a contract for tourism or water or logging or whatever, and we have many examples throughout the Pacific, that they're able to actually deliver what they've got and that the contract has been given in a transparent way.
Let me give you some questions, like as to when you say corruption. Okay, let me give you this prime example. If a government official is given a government vehicle to drive at 24 hours basis. He gets fuel. And then after working hours, you see him driving to attend meetings or family meetings, attend funerals, attend first birth ceremony. Weekend he's using it to police boat to go fishing. Now, is that corruption? We see public vehicle, public fuel, paid by taxpayers, but just because he's a high official. Is that corruption?
Okay. Well, for something to be corrupt, it's got to be illegal. Now, many people in their jobs are given a vehicle. And so, again, you've got to look at the original intent. Is somebody in their job, without knowing any situation in Palau or other countries, let's say it's a customs officer. Part of the custom officer's job is that they get a car and it's for private use. Now, if the original employment agreement says it is for private use only between your place of domestic residence and work, it is not to be running a business, or it's not for use by your family or so on. If it's very clear that there's a limit to the car use, then that becomes an illegal...
And if there is none?
Yeah.
If there's no specification that you can use it for your own personal use?
Yeah, if it's a very broad provision, such as you have it for personal use, it then becomes an ethical issue, perhaps, rather than legal. And again, ethically, if you've got a government vehicle or a vehicle provided for you, that you shouldn't be making income from it. Now, I can use Australian examples where we've had members of parliament who are issued with a car as part of their job, but it's not allowed to be used for anything other than private use. And members of parliament in Victoria were using it to run a business. It was given to family members. The actual member who'd signed and been given the car hadn't driven it for 6 months, and he lost all his funding and was charged with misuse. So it's clearly, if it's a breach of the rules, it becomes corruption. If your rules are bad, if you are not oversighting your rules to make it very clear what is allowed or what's not, it becomes an ethical issue.
There's no such rules. I mean, here it's strictly, not. I think only the president and the chief justice, those have kind of clear, not open use, and it's not specified. But the rest, I mean, it's pretty much clear the law here.
I must say that a small community like ours, let's not compare us to Australia and the US. Let's make things simple. What's public is to be used for public services. Public servants use them for public services. What's private is for private. Simple as that. If you say ethics and then corruption and moral conduct in Palau, our languages say it's either right or wrong.
Yep.
And let me give you another one. This is an overseas conference, financial conference, in the Sin City of Manila. You send hundreds of people, almost 100 people, to go there, spending to the tune of $200,000. And this conference specifically is how to invest millions of dollars in any institution, because Palau and its entities have this money to invest, So you bring people there to learn, to attend the conference. But only few people, maybe 10, are the officials involved in the actual investment and the policy making, But this about 100 people are not. I mean, some of them sweep the street, some of them were making coffee in the office. So is that, and I'm going to ask you to be honest, never mind that. Is that, corruption?
Yeah. Well, look, the very fact that you're asking it that way, it's clearly, if you're not doing an activity that that you've been funded to do, then it's certainly corrupt. It's most definitely unethical. And again, I can't comment on an individual case in Palau, but this whole issue of overseas junkets and training is something that we seem to be losing sight of in terms of the ethical compass. And I think we've got to rephrase the discussion about, okay, what's the cost? If you're spending $200,000 to send people overseas, which is really just a reward, it's not to build up their capacity. If you're going to training, you should be bringing back something that helps the local people, that helps the local community. The other thing is that that's $200,000 that could have been spent on schools, that could have been spent on better medicines,
Yes.
that could have been spent.
I had a chance opportunity to speak with the former special prosecutor. This is what he told me. He's looking after the certificates that these people truly attended the conference. And second, he told me it's a political decision that the official make. But it's mostly like a reward that you're saying.
Yeah, and
Would that be illegal or unethical?
well, it's certainly unethical, and
I think it's both. It's both. It's public money, public taxpayers' money. So it's illegal and unethical.
Yeah, but you've also got to make sure that your penal code here reflects so as that becomes a legal or but something being legal is not an ethical decision. It's about the laws. And a big part of what we're doing is working with governments to try and update their penal codes so as they actually reflect modern values. Now, when I first became an MP or a mayor in 1995, the ethical values, what people required of leaders, even in Australia, was very different to today. Today there's a much higher bar, and too bad, I'm sorry, but that's what the community expects. They expect people not to be misusing public money. They don't expect that trips are being handed out as gifts, that they're actually there to provide value. So there's been a change over 20, 30 years, but I don't think our legislation has kept up with it.
So let's say a person is being rewarded with a trip to off-island, let's say from Palau to off-island. And the value of that trip is like $3,000-4,000. It's unethical. Would that official who authorized the trip be able to be sued regarding the illegal spending of the money, since it's $3,000 worth? Because if you commit a crime here with a worth of $100,000, it's considered a felony.
Yep.
So would that be a possibility of suing an official for illegal or spending of government resources for funding?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Solomon Islands has just introduced last year an Anti-Corruption Act, which actually helps define a lot of these issues. And a public servant not doing their job, that is, not stopping somebody from taking a trip that wasn't valued, allowing somebody to use a government vehicle knowingly when it wasn't being used for government person, the absence of doing your job is a criminal offence. Now, again, every country needs to be looking at its own legislation to make sure that the laws reflect that. And the failure to do something is an offence. You can't no longer, as a leader or a boss, say, well, I didn't know what that person was doing.
But if the law was made with the intent of inventing loopholes, wouldn't that be a criminal?
Yeah, but again, it has to be a legal loophole. And the problem is so much of our legislation throughout the world, in the Pacific, is, you can shoot a shotgun through the loopholes. And the big problem in corruption is majority of crooks are really dumb and they get caught, but there's some very clever ones that find unbelievable loopholes, and that's why we have to keep working to get them.
Let me give you an example, a case. Chinese investor come to Palau, looks around and see this politician, this influential politician. Get to know the politician. He wants a land for a golf course, for resort. The politician then find the land to develop, and the land happens to owned by his relative, huge land, and to invest it and help him process the permits and all that. And he's in public office. So then they put the business. But the business is not in his name, it's in his relatives. And he's a high public official. It's a lot of millions of dollars transact. Does that qualify as a corruption?
Okay, again, you've got to look at your legislation and your situations, but I do know that here, as in most of the Pacific, there are codes of conduct or codes of ethics for senior officials, and there has to be a declaration of assets. You cannot move your assets to your wife or to another relative. Legally, they are still your assets. And, I'm sure there's hundreds of lawyers that come through Palau that would be able to look at your legislation here. But I think that around the world, that's a pretty standard definition, that by non-transparently moving what is clearly your assets, if you're in control of the asset, even if it's not registered in your name, it is your asset. It needs to be in an assets declaration or a conflict of interest declaration. I work with the Sri Lankan government. They've just amended their code of conduct. So you have to declare the assets of your parents, your children, your wife, anybody, and you're not allowed to give any government contract to anybody that you, your parents, or your children are in business with. So, again, it's the paper trail, and if people are abusing this, it's because they think they'll get away with it. So we need a strong media. We need strong government officials that can make sure that all officials are filling in their asset declarations, their conflict of interest declarations, and that there are real penalties if people don't complete them correctly.
I have another question regarding, I've seen some of this practice in Palau, where a government land lease, for example, is leased, the land is leased to me, and then I don't pay the rent for, let's say, 3 years, and then I will sublease it to a foreigner or another Palauan. Then I ask the official to forgive or my arrears. So they forgive, and then I sublease the property to a foreigner. So I have gained a lot of money through this sublease, but the government have lost the 3 or 5 years potential resource.
Yeah.
Would that be illegal?
Okay. Again, the difficulty is that it's certainly unethical, but where you've got discretion in your laws, if finance revenue officers or if a minister has got personal discretion to waive income tax, to waive duty, to waive a land tax, then it's legal because your laws enable that person to use personal discretion.
But if there is no law or regulations.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay. Again, because here most of the laws are based on an American system, if you're not prohibited from doing something, it means you're legally able to do it. So the absence of a law that covers it. But again, I would suggest that all public officers here and most places in the Pacific have got a code of conduct or a code of ethics that means they have to declare a conflict of interest and that they have their own assets declaration. So that even if your overall penal code is lacking and doesn't prohibit such behaviour in terms of the conduct of the officer, that can often be covered, and that can be where the legal corruption is legally occurring. Even though something may be totally unethical, there is usually somewhere that there's a legal way to get crooks.
Why is it that we always talk about legal all the time? Legislation takes time. Legislation takes time because it goes to the OEK and to this and that. Yeah. The special code of conduct that's good enough. I mean, the 10 Commandments is good enough. Can people have a conscience? How do you deal with corruption with a conscience?
I think we have enough in the books.
Yeah.
I think we have enough. We have special prosecutor, we have attorney general, we have public auditor, we have ethics commission. There's 2 other bodies, so I think and then we have ombudsman, which has been empty. But altogether, I think we have 7. Yeah. 7 institutional entities that do this kind of thing. And I think it's kind of detailed work, but we need to, I think we have enough laws that we can hold people's feet to the ground. But the thing is, to get the information is very important, as brought out in our conference, which also going to continue today. I think it's really it's really up to us. It's up to the people. The problem is
to wake up.
Ngirmang, we know these are under funded agencies, so they don't have enough money to do their work. We know that.
And they try to get information, and they're denied because the people who have the information are rubbing one another's shoulders. It's very hard.
Those are loopholes in the law. You make a very good law, but you don't put funding in there to do the job.
But all over the world, and it boils down to when a community says, this is enough.
Enough is enough.
Yeah. We've been robbed, we're electing people, or we're enabling people to take jobs who aren't doing their jobs properly. And as a community, and part of it is about us showing, look, it's not about somebody getting a free car for their relative. It means that the local hospital is not getting proper medicine because the money's not there available in the government. That grog or alcohol, beer is coming in illegally, people aren't paying taxes on that, so that means that your son or daughter who's trying to run a wine shop or whatever, they can't compete legally. They're trying to run a legal business and give a job.
Can we invite you to come in September toward the election year?
Yes. We can talk all day about anti-corruption.
Well, and again, it's about the community making something an election issue. And the Solomon Islands, corruption was a huge election issue, and so they've probably introduced the best anti-corruption legislation now in the Pacific. And it's been modernised. It's a lot more transparent. So it's up to the community. It's up to you Palauans, not us people that come in from outside.
So I think
that's true.
The time is coming to an end, and before we get you shut, when you go outside the door, we better stop now. So we come to the end, Mr. Hyde. So give your last hurrah before we close the program. Your comments.
Okay. Look, I've been here a couple of times. I've worked with the EOK, work with government, work with the integrity agencies, working with the private sector this week, which was great.
That was good.
Working with the the media. So I'm looking forward to coming back again. You've got incredible natural advantages here, beautiful country, but you've also got an incredible educated community, amazing young people who are a great asset. So the potential is there, it's all there. And if people can be serious about addressing corruption, you can have an amazing future in Palau.
So with that, thank you very much for sharing this with us, with this gentleman, and Sado has just schemed to come, so we'll do something to raise enough money to bring him in September before the election.
Yeah.
So I didn't close the program.
Bok pelil to korbelaw. O yung baka kimre nga sule la John Hyde, angkal dire kal nga pelaw nga seoriki, ang kita Sado el koram la invite ringi man sabel luton mera September. Nga kamal tiolingit kita other pelaw luase. Beto kay kita tigingira nga para barngaral merikit. Hindi marangi selbot alelak la arkaplit matulungal karikit marsalit makit el other belaw community pelu. Yang marangi bral tim lang aring al utol kira lay kay kiti. At takor omul ma sella katomula ke la katakaw tuloy makata etungil at atu takasiba sella kataka ay kay kita takor corruption ay kal takor or omber or auto tra kapalment mangarang makla lo matay ra kapalment mangarang amraringi kita ko taldi ka at rokoy kada tika uat mangira tal at atu ulwase al suku mata nga koram baray kay eta kay nga seul el kangungu et at atu ulwase ya mela ka morulay laan dia kalungil elente kal ngarang kato mesara ngalge ta swata ngalge ta loral me maklol mo bulage at por ada pertial buluer at akoradi ablade katamal le ka mal diak lakata ke karel belu mangira tan mal ka kareu makmal ngit lo se ko pai tingu tial pibili ay kay kital ngara pibili lo sul 10 commandments ay kay rulia atal koramomal aswar lo se la kuru la maknit makureng asular at pela lo reng so kukureng kami raw ngil weekend makuk next week. Okay, happy Friday and have a good weekend.